everybody. It is Wednesday. How are we doing tonight? It is Hump Day. It is Wednesday. Hang on, I'm getting my comment thing up. Hey, Jennifer and Kitty, how are you? And even Russ is with us. Are you on the treadmill, Russ? Hey, Adele and Dazzle. Greta. Kelly, howdy. Good to have you all with us this Hump Day. My working man today showed us a customer of his that has a camel as a pet, I guess. What do you do with a camel in Connecticut? Huh. No, it's out in Woodstock, Connecticut.
Oh my God.
Okay, what do you do with a camel in Woodstock, Connecticut? I already got your exercise this evening. What, you break into the house again, Russ? Yes, you wouldn't believe that if I hadn't seen the pictures. Okay, what do you do when you have millions of dollars and you're kind of eccentric? You build a castle and you have a camel in the middle of nowhere, Connecticut. Hey, Nebraska Angie's with us. Good to have you with us, Miss Angie. Hope all is well with you. Michelle, you're here live again tonight. Great to have you with us, Michelle. Hope everybody is doing well and had a fabulous Wednesday. Dana's with us. Ann, good to see you, Ann. Glad to have you with us. All my Virginia people. Well, almost. I'm missing Suzanne and MJ. They're probably on the beach. Hey, Dana. Good to have you all with us. What are we grateful for this Wednesday? What are we grateful for on this Wednesday? Linda, first time on live. First time listener, first time live, long time watcher, I'm sure. Sarah, Colorado's in the house. Suki in Texas. Asheville Angie has joined the show, which is awesome. So what are we grateful for on this Wednesday? Hump Day, Hump Day. I don't do that well enough. I should get that as a sound effect. I need a soundboard here with various sound effects to play off this show. You actually are sitting on my mother's piano. Of which I know not how to play with, but I know how to play with. Let me rephrase that. I don't know how to play, but I know how to play with. Yes, Kitty. Kitty got her own on consignment today. Came into her store. She sent me earlier. She's got her own Good Morning, Good Night book. Does that mean you're done with me, Kitty? Kitty, are you done with me? Well, you're tuning in tonight. Maybe you're just tuning in to show off the book, but does that mean you're going to be done with our show since you got that on your own? Hey, Kelly, that's pretty good. That must mean my search engine optimization on my new website is pretty good. That is awesome. I love it. I'm glad that my website popped up. Did it help you with your research? I was never good at it. Michelle, you got to keep in mind I was the oops baby. And so I used to like to get playing cards or baseball cards stuck in the piano in different spots, and I used to like to run around and make noise. And I really liked my mother's piano chair because it had the seat lifted up, and you could put, that's where you're supposed to keep your music and stuff, I guess. And I could hide things in there, and I liked that side of it. And Rebecca took piano for a while, and we got the piano when we moved into the house that we're in now. When my parents moved out of their split level into their first apartment, we got the piano, and I had to move it in with a dislocated shoulder, so that's a whole nother story. Oh, you're cleaning later. You know, I was reading that quick on Julie's, and I thought her changing lady, and I'm like, what do you have a changing lady? You're a cleaning lady. Yay, Angie! I am so excited to hear about that with your sister. That is awesome. Aha, let me know what pages we're doing. You know, Kitty, when I open up to a page, it is like almost entirely completely random when I open up to a page. So you get to preview the graphic. Is that what it is, Kitty? You're going to get to preview the graphics. As long as you're still tuning in every night, that's okay. Carlos are watching? Okay, I don't get that one. Grateful for a quiet, relaxing evening. Yeah, no, it's a pretty good day, you know, in the whole scheme of things. You know, it's a Wednesday. We had another great day of sales, which I was excited about. I did that. Well, I didn't do anything for that. I was on Nana duty today, so doctor's office went well. The surgeon is extremely. I think the surgeon's more impressed with himself than with Nana, but I think ultimately he's impressed with Nana and her movement in her arm and everything. And the cast came off today, and he put her back in a splint, and wants to see her again in 2 weeks, and maybe kick the splint in 2 weeks. So he was very impressed with the updated X-rays and everything else. So that is good news. They do have page numbers in there, Kitty, and I just randomly open and try to make sure it's not one that I've done before, or that it's not one of he's got a couple sad ones in there that are a little more on the sad side, and I try to stay away from those. I do admit that my minor bit of editing, but overall they're a great source of inspiration. Thank you, Kelly. Yes, Nana's in good spirits. She got out in this afternoon a little bit in the garden. And did a little bit and was feeling good, and now she is resting. We actually got dinner in before the show tonight. Dinner in before the show. Can you believe that? Dinner in before the show. So, hey, Twiggy, great to have you with us tonight. Glad to have everybody with us. But yes, you know, I mean, so I'm grateful for that. So we had Nana, we had another day of sales. That means I get to go to the bank tomorrow again. You know, again, a good amount of cash. You know, for all this talk of people, you know, wanting to not handle things and contactless and everything else, there is a good amount of cash. In Massachusetts, where we are banned from having fitting rooms right now, though it is getting more out there with people just changing or trying things on in the middle of the aisle. So that is happening. It's real. Nothing we can do about it. You know, we did not provide them a fitting room. That they chose to try things on in the middle of the aisle, or strip in the middle of the aisle, or in a corner of the store, that I can't be the police of that. Hey, Vicky, great to have you with us. And Pat in the Peanut Gallery. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. They are, you know, so there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, you know, and you know, I mean, I don't want to be, you know, 3 days doesn't make a trend, but I certainly like 3 days of sales and money going into the bank account more than's coming out of it. So that is a very good thing, and a blessing that I want on all of us. A blessing I want on all of us. And we're figuring out some of our staffing stuff too. It'll all come together. You know, we had one key holder pick up another shift. We have another key holder coming back. So I mean, it'll all come together. You know, it is always darkest before it's brightest, or something like that. So I mean, but we're getting there. And stuff fixed around the house. Val's been here this week and fixed things, and the store truck got fixed today, so Mickey fixed that. You know, I mean, we got a lot of good stuff going on. They are spending, Michelle. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Twiggy. But yes, Michelle, they are spending. I mean, it is really. I haven't looked at, I haven't had the opportunity. The one thing, I have talked about, and if you're on our email list, I think it's tomorrow, Cassandra's sending an email that I'll include, or I can post a picture of what, like, our average shopping cart in clothing is looking like. I mean, these shopping carts are overflowing. So, I mean, I haven't actually done the item count to look at it that way. To see what the actual, number of items in a cart is, but that is where our bottleneck is right now, is at the register, because when, even just 2 or 3 people come to check out at the same time, and they have 40 items in their cart or something, it does take, even with my best cashiers, it does take a little bit of time. Yeah, I mean, we're selling, we use automatic markdowns, which work well for us in a normal time because it keeps everything moving, and we sell most of it on its first price anyways. But we had predated or dated ahead on things as we were continuing to process while we were closed, and we had also, so things are selling, and a lot of it is selling at full price still. But we are getting rid of old stuff, and I know some people talked about selling a lot of winter. We had pulled a lot of the winter, but yeah, the stuff they're buying. So I'm just glad to see it, and glad to see the money. But it's important to be safe, and we have everybody in masks, and we're cleaning regularly, and that's important. So we are making forward progress. But speaking of forward progress, let's get this show started with the Good Morning, Good Night book. The Good Morning, Good Night book, how we start the show every night. We start and end that every night that way. Let's see if we can find a page. Oh, I haven't seen this page. Kitty, we are starting on page 12 tonight. Page 12 for you. Our good morning today is good morning. Good morning. Let's make some new mistakes. Let's find the things worth saving in the mess our living makes. Does that not speak of our industry? And wait until you see the graphic. Oh, that's good, Twiggy. I'm glad that sales are good. All right, let's see what we got going here. Let's see what information I have for you guys tonight. I got a lot of stuff. My pile is thick. Those two we'll save for later. I'm going to come back to that one too. Come back to her. U.S. layoffs abate, but job openings plunge. Layoffs in the United States fell in April, but remained the second highest on record, while job openings dropped, suggesting the labor market could take years to recover from COVID-19 crisis, despite a surprise rebound in employment in May. The Labor Department said on Tuesday in its monthly job openings and labor turnover survey, or JOLTS as it's called, that layoffs and discharges dropped 3.8 million in April to 7.7 million. That was the second highest level since the government started the JOLTS report tracking series in 2000. The layoffs and discharge rate fell to 5.9% in April from a record 7.6% in March. The labor market was slammed by the closure of non-essential businesses in March. Yeah, we know that. Despite last month's rebound in hiring, economists warn it could take even a decade for the labor market to recoup all the jobs lost during the COVID-19 recession. So we will continue to follow that. Simon, we remember who Simon is, not Simon Says, but Simon the mall operator is pulling out of a $3.6 billion deal to buy Taubman malls. Said it terminated its agreement to merge with the rival mall developer. The deal for Simon to acquire an 80% ownership interest in the Taubman Realty Group, including all of Taubman common stock for $3.6 billion, was originally expected to close about now. Instead, Simon has filed a lawsuit in Michigan court arguing that Taubman breached covenants regarding the operation of its business, specifically that Taubman has failed to take steps To mitigate the impact of the pandemic as others in the industry have, including by not making essential cuts in operating expenses and capital expenditures. Their agreement also specifically gave Simon the right to terminate the transaction in the event that a pandemic disproportionately hurt Taubman. Overall, they're really just using the pandemic to drop out of that. Now, we're selling a lot of summer right now, Twiggy. We're selling a lot of everything. But yes, it's going to be an interesting summer selling season. I mean, we're selling more, but we take more earlier. We start taking summer clothing in December. So we have a backlog in our processing that has actually been beneficial to us a little bit. Right now. So, we actually turn over to taking fall and winter clothing June 1st. So, in our operation, that's helping us. We'll see how that plays out. It is pissing off some consigners as they have been putting aside their summer stuff to bring in when we opened, but people are bringing us plenty of winter. We have had more winter coats, more everything. I am concerned that we will get slammed with summer December 1st when we start taking it again if people actually leave their piles put aside for us. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Hey, Karen, great to have you with you. At Bob's Discount Furniture, for those of you parts of the country that have a Bob's Discount Furniture, customers can still sit on a sofa, but with precautions. This is a Connecticut-based furniture company, but they go cover, I think, into the middle of the country at this point. So Bob's reopened this week in Massachusetts. They have 128 stores across 20 states. They've been most surprised about the reopening, as we've been talking about tonight, is not only that people have been out to shop, but people are out there to buy. It's been pretty terrific across the board, says Bob's chief. Hang on a second. So what they have done as part of their furniture stores is they've created a new role of greeter. Okay? And that greeter is an employee armed with an infrared thermometer and questions before you enter the store. Can I put some hand sanitizer on your hands? Can I take your temperature? How are you feeling today? Have you been around anyone sick today? If a customer isn't wearing a mask, Bob's will provide one. And at another store on June 2nd, there was an unusual sight, a line outside as if it were a sales tax. They are sharply restricting the total number of people in stores, a policy that goes way beyond local regulations. They are only allowing 10 customer parties at a time in each store. At a store where they had pictured the line on June 2nd, and I know where this store is, it's up in New Hampshire, the fire code allows for 766 people at a time. Capacity is restricted to 50%, and they are only letting in about 70 customers at a time, a fraction of what the state allows. And in Massachusetts, they're limited to 40% capacity, but they remain more restrictive. So, they're doing a lot. Again, safety is the new loyalty program, so we'll see how this plays out for them. Instead of the normal sales policy, their new thing is, instead of always be closing, which is a normal sales technique, their new ABC is always be cleaning. So, and they're giving customers a disposable paper liner before they lie on a bed or sit on a sofa if they want to use it. So kind of interesting how they're approaching it. Exactly, Kelly. That's a great plan. Hey, Susie. Great to have you, Alta. Sam Walton on steroids. That's good, Kitty. Kohl's. Our buddies at Kohl's are seeing a big digital boost. Curbside pickup continuing post-pandemic. Some 90% of the company's stores have now reopened, and sales are averaging 75% of the post-pandemic. That's pretty good and in line with what I said where things were headed. I don't, Twiggy, mainly because of the size of our stores. We haven't had to. In a smaller store, I could see that you may need to restrict how many people come in. With the average size of our stores, we can have, even at the low end of the occupancy limits, we can have 60, 70 people in there and still be within the fire code in with the restriction limits, and we're not having that kind of crowd. One of the things today in clothing, though, was we had more people with kids today, is what I was told, and parents let kids run amok, and which is a yin yang. You would think in this they would be keeping them closer, but they are not. Starbucks, our buddies at Starbucks. I love my Starbucks. Says it lost $3 billion in revenue the last quarter due to the pandemic. Actually, as much as $3.2 billion. And they expect to swing to a loss in their fiscal third quarter. And it expects same-store sales in the U.S. and China to decline 10 to 20% for the full fiscal year. And part of that is offices aren't returning. I mean, offices in the U.S. are talking about the fall, so for reopening. So that is interesting. But they are. So one of the parts of their earnings that is important and is relative, because this is relative to our own lives. Again, follow the big guys. Model your business on their practices scaled to you. By the end of June, Starbucks expects weekly cash flow to be positive. Okay? Weekly cash flow to be positive. Same-store sales growth on the year is grim, but cash flow positive is important. So, and it's something we all need to be looking at. Currently in China, about 90% of cafes are back open to pre-pandemic hours, and 70% have full seating available. So that's important stuff. Really? I'm surprised about that with Menards. That's kind of interesting, Twiggy. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, they are, Kitty. Really? 50% capacity or max 50 people. That's interesting. Retail Wins, the company that owns New York & Company, may close all stores as part of a bankruptcy. We had talked earlier, probably about a week ago, maybe 10 days, that they were looking at bankruptcy and closing some stores, but now it looks like they may close all their stores. And that is not good for anybody. Yeah, and Joanne had mentioned, Nussbaum mentioned that they are closing the one across the street. Yeah, they are. I mean, they're making the tough decisions. You got to keep in mind, part of it is we are overstored. Hey, Leanne, great to have you with us. Cheers. Have to be 16 with an ID at a Menards? Wow. Yeah, I missed my afternoon shot at Starbucks. The happy hours that they do on Thursdays and stuff when I could get a deal. Melissa's with us. Great to have you with us, Melissa. Apparel margins take a hit as retailers face a new future. Apparel retailers, like all non-essential retailers for much of the first quarter, were forced to lock up their physical stores. That mostly means the expectations were low as consumer remains somewhat wary of shopping in stores. Most apparel retailers like Macy's and such have reported that reopened locations are performing better than anticipated. American Eagle Outfitters is running at about 50% of their usual sales. Abercrombie and Fitch opened U.S. stores is at 80%. But there is some issues, obviously, with apparel, and we're seeing it. But 3 days in Massachusetts, I'm kind of excited about apparel. Hey, Laura! Cheers to Laura. Cheers to Leanne. Great to have everybody with us tonight. Now I can properly cheer. Saks Fifth Avenue is seeking financing as the virus crimps sales. Saks Fifth Avenue owner Hudson Bay Company is preparing a bond offering to shore up its finances, the latest retailer to do so after the COVID-19 pandemic. They are hoping to raise roughly $800 to $900 million through the bond deal, depending on the appetite from investors. It was unclear whether the Canadian department store planned to offer investors any collateral, such as real estate, but that's the kind of money they're looking for to survive. Uh, 3M is filing a lawsuit against merchants on Amazon who are selling masks on Amazon for 18 times list price. In overcharges alone, they made over $350,000. And this is, the latest lawsuit and attempts by 3M to help bring some order to the chaotic market for protective equipment. Hey, Karen, great to have you with us. It wasn't that long ago on this show that we talked about surcharges with FedEx and UPS. And now cross-border postal rates are going up July 1st for most shippers. And what's the percentage? I got it here someplace. Shipping costs from the U.S. to Canada. So U.S. to Canada, which is something we get a lot of interest from. We have a lot of people that want us to ship to Canada. And we have friends in Canada. We like Canadians. They're good. Yay, Canada. Oh, Canada, oh, Canada. I'm not going to do it any justice. Shipping costs from the U.S. to Canada is going up around 50%. And more for light items than heavy items. Okay, other areas to other parts of the world could go up as 100% or more. Okay, shipping is going up, and the way that international rates are negotiated so that everybody gets part of the money. When you ship something to Canada, part of the money you pay the U.S. Postal Service goes to the U.S. Postal Service. Part of it goes to Canada, the Canadian Postal Service, and all the people in between. That's crazy for a can of Lysol. I'm sort of glad we're better stocked right now with wipes and things like that, mostly because we bought up on, we just have a regular backstock in our warehouse that we keep. We keep, in normal business times, 4 to 6 weeks of supplies, are available depending on the time of year. And we went into this okay with supplies, and obviously we went months without using any. So we're a little bit better stocked coming into this, and supposedly from what I've heard, I heard the CEO of I want to say Clorox, talking about wipes and other things in the commercial market where we're shopping, in your Costco's and BJ's and all the places you would go to buy things like that should be plentifully supplied by early summer. So they're late June, early July. Supply stock should be back to normal on things like that. Everything's going up, Russ. They all ultimately raise it to be competitive. So this was specifically talking about U.S. Postal Service going across border, and it's the cross-border negotiations that have been ongoing for a while. They just published notice of it today. But usually everybody else follows suit to remain competitive. Yeah, they are all sold out right now, but it's coming. They're all the stock is coming from what I'm hearing. I scored a bunch of sanitizer and good size things the other day at actually CVS. And where did Rebecca tell me that they had gallon jugs reasonably? It'll come to me. She was like, if you need any, and I'm like, no, we're stocked up on sanitizer and stuff too. So I'm like, we're really in good shape overall. Best Buy! Our buddies at Best Buy expect to have 800 stores open by June 15th with no appointment needed. Best Buy is dropping the shop by appointment model it put in place after its first wave of openings. They'll begin allowing a limited number of people inside without an appointment. To enforce social distancing, Best Buy will limit the number of customers inside the store to 25% of capacity, which approximately allows 60 or more customers in a store depending on its size. If the store reaches the limit, it will queue people in a line until they are able to shop. Stores will also have floor signage to help customers and employees maintain 6 feet of distance at all times. In line with the change, Best Buy is bringing back more than 9,000 of its furloughed full and part-time store employees and Geek Squad agents. The retailer will continue to offer contactless curbside pickup and in-store consultations for those that prefer to shop that way. You know, it was interesting in Massachusetts, was allowed this week to offer outdoor dining at restaurants. So we're still just takeout or outdoor dining in Massachusetts. But they just gained outdoor. And a lot of the restaurants, you know, took the lessons from other parts of the country and said, no, we're first come, first serve. We're not doing this appointment thing, because so many of their friends in other parts of the country that took reservations for tables and such were getting burned, and people were showing up later. They were tying up tables too long. And especially with the outdoor, you only have a limited number of tables, and they were really trying to keep them turning. I don't have anything. I'll see what I can find out from my contacts on the borders reopening. I can loan you a commercial truck, you know, a vehicle with commercial plates on it, so you can transport cargo, Julie. But I have not heard specifically about the regular border crossing. But I'll see what I can find out. Do I have a government call this week? I'll see what I can find out. So, what does a theme park and a waiting line to get into your store or restaurant have to do with each other? A partnership brings theme park thinking to socially distancing retail queues. Two companies have teamed up to help retailers reimagine the customer queue experience as retailers limit store capacity to ensure social distancing. Retail branding agency Theory House is partnering with Mark Gildersleeve, a veteran creative director in the theme park industry, on a new offering, QEXP, that transforms a potentially negative experience, waiting in long lines outside of stores, into one that is engaging and educational. Drive by any big box, grocery, or home improvement stores at key times, and you're likely to see dozens, if not hundreds, of guests waiting outside. These lines are uninspiring at best and uncomfortable at worst, and the discomfort will only get exacerbated as we head into the heat of summer. The new solution is based on the queue lines at the best theme parks, where the lines are often as much a part of the experience as the attraction itself. QEXP provides fun and enjoyable queue line experience by cleverly immersing the customer in the store's brands while preparing them for a more efficient shopping experience. Here is an example of one at Lowe's. Okay, that's just going to make you so excited to wait at Lowe's. Because I know Julie still wants to go on vacation and make it a run across the border. Well, more importantly, Julie, we want to make sure we get you back. Amazon is moving towards full COVID-19 screening in its warehouses. Amazon is reportedly preparing to test all fulfillment facility workers every 2 weeks. According to CNBC, the retail giant is scaling up COVID-19 testing at its warehouses following a number of high-profile outbreaks of the virus at different facilities across the country. The company has already begun piloting a testing program at several undisclosed facilities. Employees who test positive are referred to third-party medical provider Grand Rounds for an online consultation. In addition to conducting on-site nasal swab tests, Amazon is also reportedly planning to open its own labs that would diagnose test results at locations, including locations in California and Kentucky. They are also testing and evaluating other methods of testing, such as measuring blood oxygen levels. They are anticipated to spend their entire quarter 2 profit of $4 billion on COVID-19 related expenses. Karen, you missed my whole Oh Canada. You'll have to watch the replay. It wasn't worth watching the replay just for that, Karen, but great to have you with us. How are things at Found, Karen? What has your week been at Found so far? 3 days in. Have your customers been bringing you the love? I bet you they have. 5 restroom upgrades to minimize germs. Post signage, reinforce cleanliness with friendly reminders about washing hands for 20 seconds per the CDC guidelines, maintaining safe distances between users, throwing away paper towels, etc. Offer touchless fixtures. Cross-contamination of germs in restrooms can be reduced by using touch-free fixtures from everything from soap faucets, hand dryers, doors, and flushers. Increase cleaning, sanitizing, and restocking. Proper and frequent cleaning and disinfection is key for restrooms, especially for high-touch surfaces. Provide trash cans and hand sanitizer near exits. Prop open doors to increase visibility and minimize contact. All good ideas. Busy, so great, yes, love it, Karen, that is great news. Well, as people are getting flooded with stuff, you might want to know what our buddy Marie Kondo would be doing during her work from home routine. Like millions of people around the world, tidying expert and best-selling author Marie Kondo has spent the last few months working from home. To help her stay as productive and organized as possible, the wife of mom and mom of 2 says she sticks to a strict routine to ensure that her work life doesn't overlap with her personal life. I usually wake up before 7 a.m. and the first thing I do each day is open the windows to let the fresh air in. After that, I burn incense, which not only cleanses the atmosphere, but relaxes me. Serenity now. From there, Kondo spends a few short minutes doing a yoga practice. Tree pose here, people. Okay, no tree pose. From there, before going to the kitchen to prepare a traditional Japanese breakfast for her family, which usually includes miso soup with rice. To maintain a clear division between work life and home life, the author of the recently released book, Joy at Work, Organizing Your Professional Life, she then writes down what she wants to achieve personally and professionally for the day. She also communicates with her husband and 2 young kids about her priorities for the day. Before starting work around 9 a.m., to mark the start of the workday, I strike a tuning fork and diffuse essential oils to signal to my body that I am switching gears. Okay, and during the day, she spends a lot of time discussing with her husband their goals and future plans for KonMari Media, the company they co-founded together in 2015. Since the pandemic, they've had much more meaningful discussions. To ensure that she's giving her mind a rest, she takes a few short breaks throughout the day to enjoy meals with her family and step away from her screen. Around 6:30, Konda wraps up her workday to have dinner with her family. Then she follows her nightly routine of reading books with her daughters before putting them to sleep. After they're asleep, she says, I put away any toys they didn't tidy up and address any outstanding work needs. Similar to all of us, she's spending a lot more time at home than normal, which is why she says it's important to create a space that supports us when we're working and when we're not. Tidying up, she adds, can help us to experience and savor the things that bring us joy, both inside and outside of work, while helping us to mentally clear space for things we want in our life and the things we need to change. There you go. Ooh, your hair. I haven't seen pics, Karen. Need pics. Jennifer's watching. Great to have you with us. The Welties are with us. This Friday, Adele, right? You get to have your nails done? IKEA, Russell, you need to set your sights higher. Julie's going to work for Karen. All right. Well, you know what we are? We're all capable of climbing so much higher than we usually permit ourselves to suppose. How's that for a quote for you? Okay. Now get into our favorite government stuff. Our buddies at the Internal Revenue Service is reminding taxpayers that estimated tax payments for tax year 2020, originally due April 15th and June 15th, are now due July 15th. This means that any individual or corporation that has a quarterly estimated tax payment due has until July 15th to make that payment without penalty. Oh, Monday? I thought it was Friday, Adele. Are you going to switch your normal Friday day to Monday then? You need curtains, Russ, to make sure that the neighbors can't see you breaking in? I don't want to know why you need curtains. It's not going to cover up the hole you made in the house to break into the house. Covering updates to the PPP. So one clarification our friends at the SBA made today it deals with the 5-year maturity of this under the Flexibility Act. Based on the enactment of the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act of 2020, the maturity of all loans approved on or after June 5th will be for 5 years. Loans approved and or funded prior to June 5th with the 2-year maturity may be extended by the lender and borrower mutually agreeing to a 5-year term. So that is going to go through the banks. So that's just important to note, but we don't want anybody to have a loan with it. We want everybody to get their PPPs forgiven and to have them fully forgiven. So, that is an important thing. And that is where we need to focus on. So I don't want to focus on that you could have this as a 5-year loan. I don't want anybody to have this as a loan. The other thing out of the SBA that's come up is that the EIDL is getting reduced to $100,000 from $150,000 cap. But there's a lot of congressional pressure on that. Jovita was in front of the Senate today, testified yesterday, in front of the Senate, and they weren't really happy with her in that the decision to set the thresholds lower when the SBA still has money is being viewed as by Congress as arbitrary because it is supposed to be half of your it's supposed to be half of your annual gross profit is what you're approved for and supposed to be able to get as an idle loan, and the arbitrariness in which they had reduced that to $150,000 and now $100,000 has some in Congress upset. And ultimately, Jovita's intention and the intentions of the SBA are good. They know how many applications are in queue, and they're trying to stretch the money. They know that they can fulfill more loan sum if they get that going, but there's a real, there's a disconnect, and part of it is bad press. So we'll see where that goes. You're going to put your mom in your bubble? I don't get the whole travel thing, and I want to take a trip. So we want to go to Resale Island and get everybody going, and get the Pink Calculator RV on its summer resale tour is what we want to do, and that will come with time. But more importantly than that, resale is going to reunite. If you haven't seen it in the June newsletter or on the NARTS website at narts.org, resale reunites for a virtual conference coming this August. You can't miss it. Only $199 for the first person, $99 for the second. You got to get registered today. You do not want to be left on the sidelines of that. You do not. Double bubble. Double bubble, hubba bubba. But all the resources I talk about, everything that we do here, is available at narts.org/resalestrong. The next day by noon, narts.org/resalestrong is where you can find all the resources by the next day at noon, so that you can share it with everybody in business. We're going to get everybody to the other side, even people living in a bubble. We want them to come to the other side with us. We won't pop their bubble. We like them. And we might hug their bubble. But we're going to get them to the other side. When you have a question that nobody can answer, when you don't know the answer to your personal situation, when you want to know, the new most popular question I get is, am I going to go to jail for doing this? And I do find the question comical, but I do understand the seriousness of it. So I'm happy to take that question. I'm happy to walk that through with you. Give me an email. You email me, Neil, Neil at ECIstores.com. Neil at ECIstores.com. That's how you get in the call queue, where I will call you back. I am behind, but I will call everybody back. I promise you that. But you find me, Neil at ECIstores.com. But I'm here live in the NARTS Facebook group every night. Every night I'm here live at 8 o'clock Eastern, where you get to ask me questions live here to your heart's content. And I will be back here again tomorrow. But we start every day and night with the Good Morning, Good Night book. And for those of you that were not here, like Karen at the top of the program, our Good Morning, Good Night book tonight, our good morning was, good morning, let's make some new mistakes. Let's find the things worth saving in the mess our living makes. Our good night tonight is, good night, let's make some new mistakes. Let's stumble towards success and pack some snacks for little breaks. There's your graphics. Okay, Kitty cheated and saw the graphics first because Kitty got one of these books on consignment today. So excited for her. I will be back here tomorrow night, people. I do like a great wedding. I do like a bar mitzvah, a great party. You can count on me to be there for you. I'll be back tomorrow night live at 8 o'clock because you, and you, but most importantly you, are not alone